Greetings, everybody. This is Professor Hussain again with ASC 2320 Aviation Law and Regulation class. Welcome back. Chapter 10, we'll be discussing aircraft accident notifications, reporting, and investigation. Interesting topic. When we keep regulations in mind, and obviously different countries' laws as well. Every operator of business commercial shall have an accident responsible plan in place for guidance in an event of aircraft accident. While using your best accident prevention efforts to avoid an accident, it would be prudent to operate on the belief that your operation will never experience one. The time immediately following accident is one of the most stressful and chaotic period of flight crew performance, maintenance personnel, as well as company management will ever experience. Your statements made and actions taken in minutes, hours, days following an accident by all those involved will have far-reaching consequences in many areas. This may include FAA enforcement actions against operators, pilots, mechanics involved, civil litigation, and related questions of insurance coverage, even claim criminal charges, as well as damages to the reputation of the company and individuals involved. What this statement means is basically is best as much as possible for the management to make sure all those involved, uh, especially passengers, take care of them first, and then work out the rules and regulation, coverage, and everything else later on. And that goes a long way as far as public relation goes. Controlling the release of information at everything has been done to rescue survive. Focus should shift to securing, preserving accident scene, wreckage, notifying those who must be notified in a timely manner, while assuring that any facts released are accurate. This damage containment effort is a necessary part of your overall risk management plan. And the best way to describe this is when I worked at Kissimmee Airport, we did have when we had an accident, we had to wait for the um, uh, police to arrive. So therefore, we as our airport operator had to contain the accident scene and made sure that nobody got through. Aircraft accident excite people. Everyone wants to know what happened, especially news media, determined to get a scoop first, and it may seem that everyone is asking at the same time. Everyone involved in the accident, especially those intimately involved, surviving flight crew, shall be in some degree of shock, may feel overwhelming guilt or sadness, may have personal injuries, may have the highest blood adrenaline level they ever experienced. So we have to be mindful of different situations and making sure that everybody is keeping up with uh, not just the not just the personal feelings, but also the rules and regulations. But the law bestows a special aura of truthfulness on excited utterances made by person involved in an accident immediately after accident. Anything you say at this point may be used later by FAA, plaintiff, or prosecuting attorney with devastating efforts on admission against interest employees, of course, in an FAA enforcement action, civil litigation, and even criminal prosecution, which may arise out of accident. In many cases where criminal activity is suspended, FBI may participate in NTSB investigation, even as in 9/11 attacks, assume control of investigation with the NTSB providing requested technical support. Although it is rare in the U.S., state or local prosecuting attorneys may even bring criminal charges such as murder or manslaughter against individuals, crew members, other whose conduct is believed to have led to the accident, seeking imprisonment. This happens most frequently in civil laws countries in Asia, Europe, Latin America, which tend to treat virtually all misbehavior as criminal and which may have system may not have a system of negligence law intended to compensate victims rather than punish the careless. One recent example was Brazil's criminal prosecution of American flight crew of a business jet that collided in flight with a commercial airline. The business jet landed safely with damage while the airliner crashed with no survivors. Most importantly, notification and requests a report required. In an event of accident, do not file an accident safety report with NASA, as we saw in Chapter 2. NASA report immunity benefits do not apply if an accident was involved. NASA receives report of an aircraft accident. The report is not held in confidentiality but immediately forwarded to NTSB, where it becomes a matter of public record that can be used against you in FAA enforcement and civil litigation. Your accident response plan should designate a specific person or office in the company to be notified first in the event of accident and person to whom inquiries about accidents are to be directed. This enables the company to put its accident response plan into effect immediately. Operator of aircraft, including public aircraft operated by a federal or state agency, required by laws to notify the nearest NTSB field office immediately after the most expeditious means available, usually telephone when there is an accident. Certain other types of incidents, operator is defined by NTSB as person who causes it or authorizes operation of aircraft, such as owner, lessee, bailee of an aircraft. Operator is required to file written report within NTSB on form provided by board within 10 days after an accident, but only if requested by board for one of the incidents for which notice is required. Crew members are required to attach statements setting forth the facts, conditions, circumstances of accident or incident at the same time if they are physically able. Crew members are incapacitated at the same time required to submit such statement or as they are able. The reference determine whether an aircraft mishap requires immediate notification. Report is NTSB Part 830. Notification and reporting of aircraft incident or accidents or overdue aircraft, preservation of aircraft wreckage, mail, cargo, and records. Under this regulation, aircraft operators are required to give NTSB immediate notice of an aircraft accident or certain specific incidents. To determine whether notice is required, operator and consultation with the attorney must first determine whether a mishap is an aircraft accident within NTSB definitions. Aircraft accident means occurrence associated with operation of an aircraft which takes place between time any person boards the aircraft within the intention of flight or such person have disembarked, in which any person suffers death or serious injuries, in which aircraft receives substantial damage. For this purpose of this part, definition of aircraft accident includes unmanned aircraft accidents as defined herein. Unmanned aircraft accident occurs associated with operation of a public or civil unmanned aircraft system that takes place between the time the system is activated with the purpose of flight and the time the system is deactivated at conclusion of its mission, in which any person suffers death or injuries. Aircraft has a maximum gross takeoff weight of 300 pounds or greater or sustains substantial damage. Thus, if an aircraft undergoes slipped off a jack and killed a person mechanic under NTSB, will be required would not be required. Neither would notification be required if an unoccupied aircraft is blown over a windstorm or damaged by a service vehicle. Nor notification required of aircraft was operation, or at least passengers, crew were aboard intended to fly, but no one was killed or seriously injured. Aircraft did not receive substantial damage. The latter situation, however, requires that we consult more NTSB definitions. What is serious injuries? What is substantial damage? Serious injury means any injury which requires hospitalization for more than 48 hours, commencing within 7 days from date of injury was received. Second, a fracture of any bone except simple fracture of finger, toes, or nose. Number three, causes severe hemorrhage, nerves, muscle, tendon damage. Number four, involves any internal organs. Number five, involves second or third degree burns or any burns affecting more than 5% of body surface. Substantial damage may be damage or failure which adversely affects structural strength, performance, flight characteristics of aircraft, which are normally require major repairs or replacement of effective components. Engine failure or damage limited to an aircraft. If one engine fails or damaged, bent fairings, cowling, dented skin, small punctured holes in skin of fabric, ground damage, damage to the rotor, propeller, blades, damage to landing gears, wheels, tires, flaps, engines, accessories, brakes, wingtips are not considered substantial damage for the purpose of this part. Incident is defined as mishap was not an accident under the above definition. You must next determine whether it is one of the specific incidents that require immediate notice to NTSB. Notice NTSB definition includes means occurs other than an accident associated with the operation of aircraft which affects or would affect safety of operations. You are not, however, required to notify NTSB of all incidents. You are required to notify NTSB only of the following incidents occur: flight control system malfunction, failure, liability of any required flight crew member to perform normal flights, duties as a result of injury or illness, failure of any internal engine component that requires results in an escape of debris that is exhaust path, in-flight fire, aircraft collision in flight, damage to property other than the aircraft estimated exceed $25,000 to repair in event of total loss, which is less for large aircraft, more than 12,500 pound maximum certified takeoff weight. If the aircraft accident incident is one requiring immediate notice to NTSB, shortly after you gave the required notice, you will receive from the board the forms for submitting any required written reports. The aircraft operator is required to file written reports within 10 days or after accident. Also only required to file written reports for any incident of which aircraft is one of those listed above. Then only if requested by the board. Both initial notification and subsequent written notice should be directed to the nearest NTSB field office. NTSB in the field office listed in the U.S. government and telephone directories in the following city: Anchorage, Alaska; Atlanta, Georgia; West Chicago, Illinois; Denver, Colorado; Arlington, Texas; Gardena, Los Angeles, California; Miami, Florida; Parsippany, New Jersey; Seattle, Washington; and Washington, D.C. If the accident occurs outside the U.S., notification reports requires a definition of accident incident may be different. Notification NTSB equivalent officials of country in which accident incident occurred is required to under international agreement as well as local laws. Operating company and crew are bound to abide by the laws of country in which they are operating. It's important for us to understand this statement. Under the laws are operating That's the most important thing. Failure to comply with the foreign law, local laws can antagonize foreign governments. Aircraft accident investigators and law enforcement officers having an adverse effort not only accident investigation but also legal consequences to operators and crew. Operators welcome continue operating on nations. IQ is an extra 13 and international recommended practices for aircraft accident investigation provides general framework for which aircraft accident investigation worldwide. Some nations take exception to some particular provisions, but an extra 13 is a good framework for reference for what to expect in the conduct of aircraft accidents investigation globally. Crew members should be reminded, as discussed, Chapter 2, FAA informed that although they are required to show a certificate to FAA inspectors, other law enforcement personnel requested, they must be on their guard never to relinquish their certificates. Crew members should be cautioned to refrain from making any statements to the FAA. If a TSP conducts an informal inquiry about on-site phase of accident investigation, the crew members should insist the FAA representative in writing that nothing can be said during inquiry will be used against them in enforcement action. If FAA refuses to agree, crew members may request a FAA representative to be excluded from informal inquiry. Most airlines paint their logo on the vertical tail of every aircraft and their logo along the top of the fuselage. In most disastrous aircraft accidents, the tail is often the only identifiable portion of aircraft remaining. To minimize adverse psychological effects of travelers seeing the company's logo thus displayed in inevitable long-running news coverage of accident, some airlines have known to paint over name and logo as soon as the NTSB investigators in charge will permit. Accident response plans always exposes the company individual involved in the possibility of FAA enforcement actions, civil litigation, damage reputation, even criminal charges. Preparation and dissemination of accident response plan and following plan careful can help control these adverse consequences. Accident examples should include corporate aircraft accident response plan published by United States Aircraft Insurance Company, available on their website. Most important thing when it comes to accidents and incidents, NTSB has received additional tasks from Congress to serve as coordinator to integrate the resources of the federal government and other organizations such as the Red Cross to support efforts of state and local governments and airlines to meet needs of airline disaster victims and their families. Family counseling, victim identification, forensic services, communicating with foreign governments, or translation services are among the federal services, such as services that NTSB can make available to local authorities and airlines dealing with major airline disasters. In these disasters, Joint Family Support Operations Center is now routinely established under NTSB Federal Family Assistance Plan for aviation disasters to coordinate support for affected families. Commercial spaceflight accidents. At present, there is no clear delegation authority to investigation of commercial spaceflight accidents. NTSB has participated in investigation of several spacecraft accidents, including Challenger, Columbia space shuttles, and recently took the lead in investigation in-flight breakup of Virgin Galactica's spaceship Two during flight, which killed one pilot and injured another. It appears likely that NTSB will eventually be charged with responsibility to investigate incidents occurring during commercial space flight operations due to work being similar to aircraft accident investigation. This is it for chapter 10. We shall continue with chapter 11 momentarily. And as always, if you have questions, concerns, email me, text me, or call me. Thank you and have